It is so beautiful out here today. You'll notice we're in a new setting. I just had to take us outside because it's so beautiful. There's wildflowers and the spring has truly sprung. I know I said that in my last video and I'm just enjoying the heck out of it. So, hello friends. Today I wanted to explore a little bit more about the self-love, the self-care, and particularly I wanted to focus on self-discipline today. So this topic, discipline, just the word in and of itself, I feel like it's often something that we can kind of cringe at or shudder a little bit at the idea of the word discipline, and I completely understand why. I think it's a word associated with perhaps the more negative experience of what discipline is, and maybe, you know, even associated with just punishment. But self-discipline is so not about that. And if we are punishing ourselves and calling it self-discipline, we got to cut that out, because that's not what self-discipline is about. Those are unhealthy patterns and behaviors that we don't want to be engaging in. But self-discipline, there is so much space for that in my eyes in the world of self-love and self-care, because it's just crucial. I think, you know, I talked about self-care being even just how we're sleeping. Are we making sure we're on a nice routine schedule and looking after ourselves, because sleep is such a crucial part of basic health. It's eating right, which is, you know, eating nurturing foods. It's enjoying what you eat and also fueling your body in a way that's kind, not just indulging in things that maybe the taste buds want but the body doesn't want. You know, it's about exercising and moving our bodies, again, in a kind and loving way, not about over-exercising or putting strain on our physical bodies and adding unnecessary stress, but moving it and allowing the capacity for stress and to be expanded if we're moving our bodies and enjoying and engaging all of the capacity that it has. So there's so many ways that self-discipline, in just the most basic ways, is so crucial. But I often like to think of, when I look at self-discipline, I like to often just think of one of the most basic examples I remember. So, you know, the first time I probably felt what true self-discipline was about, you know, as children, I think it's a common experience, is maybe we've got a cold and our mum gives us cough medicine or dad gives us cough medicine and goes, here, take this, it's gonna make you feel better. And often it's got that weird taste, and you know, your taste buds kind of go, ooh, I don't enjoy this, I don't want this medicine. But you know, if you take the medicine, yes, it tastes bad, but it's gonna do the right thing for you. It's gonna help your body heal. And I often think of that as just one of the first times that we sort of really have that experience of self-discipline, where maybe you're pushing through an unpleasant phenomena or an unpleasant experience, but the gains are so worth it. So I often think of self-discipline in that aspect of, you know, you take your medicine, do the hard thing that's gonna give you such beautiful gains. And again, that can look like a lot of different ways. It could be just putting yourself to sleep at the right time every night, which maybe that doesn't feel as hard to some people as other things, but then self-discipline can also be going to the gym every day at 5 a.m. Maybe that's something you need to do for a period of time. Maybe that's the call that you feel in your heart. Self-discipline can be getting up for work early every morning, and because you love your job, but no one wants to get up super early in the morning, unless you're an early bird, and then fair enough. But self-discipline can look so different and mean so many things, but it's attending to the tasks that perhaps aren't always the most enjoyable, but you know they give you really important gains, and they keep you on track in a meaningful way. So yeah, I wanted to explore that a little bit more today. I think my journey with it, I started by saying I think discipline can leave a poor taste in some people's mouths, and I was certainly one of those people that I didn't warm to the idea of self-discipline, particularly discipline, when I first sort of came across it in the space of self-development. I think at first I felt very confronted by the idea. Again, I personally associated with punishment, and I didn't want to force myself to do anything that I didn't warm to. But warming myself to the fact that self-discipline in and of itself is the medicine was such a key part of realizing that not everything feels amazing that's good for you. In fact, a lot of things that are good for you don't feel amazing, but we can learn to love those things. And it's also about almost attuning to the more subtle flavors and feelings of what actually feels good versus what just gives you a high. So again, I'll use food as an example. Perhaps the M&Ms, the bag of M&Ms, feels really, it gives me a high, it gives me a sugar rush, I'm really enjoying that. And there's a time and place for M&Ms, we're not going to villainize and demonize certain foods. But we know that sitting down and having a bag of M&Ms for breakfast probably isn't going to be the thing that's kindest to your body. And if we had no self-discipline, we would be just indulging all sorts of behaviors and patterns, and like eating a bag of M&Ms for breakfast. But if you've got self-discipline, you know that I should probably have something that's going to be satiating, that's going to be nourishing, and is going to satisfy my taste buds. And exploring the nuances of how to meet all those criteria, what's actually good for you, not just what gives you a high, is so important. So self-discipline, it's just such a fundamental and key part of self-love and self-care. It's not the end-all and be-all. We don't want to become really rigid and apply things just out of habit. But being able to be a little bit strict with yourself is a really important tool to have in our toolkit, especially if we're learning to like the things that are going to enrich us and grow us and make us feel fulfilled. Of course, when it comes to self-love and self-care, you also need to be able to stop and smell the roses a little bit, enjoy the journey, enjoy where you're at. It's not just about getting to a destination, because I feel like if we're really pursuing growth, then there's always a new target and always a new destination, and that's a really healthy thing when applied correctly and done in moderation and as guided by the sort of truest source of ourselves that we can find, really guided by our hearts. But yeah, there's also enjoying the journey, stopping to smell the roses. So I feel like there's a really beautiful balance that can be had between the self-discipline and stopping and smelling the roses. So it's not about getting the whip out and self-flagellating and punishing ourselves, but having a routine or having certain touchstones which help us to stay on track with goals that we've set is such a key part of self-discipline. And then being able to stop and enjoy the gains along the way, which is a part of this attitude of gratitude that we've looked at before as well. Being able to just enjoy where you're at, enjoy the birds in the air, enjoy the beautiful flowers that have come out with spring along the journey. Enjoy the fact that you are learning to enjoy the medicine, or that you are going to bed at a better time and you're actually waking up more energized. Stopping and enjoying those gains along the way, so crucial. So that's what I have to say today. So self-discipline, stopping to smell the roses. It's all a part of self-love and self-care. And these are the sorts of tools along the way that really accelerate personal growth and spiritual development. So leave a comment. I'd love to hear what your experience of self-discipline is. I think everyone's got a really different angle on it, and there's a lot to learn from each other about a topic like this. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video.